Cool. So, hello guys. So now we're live on YouTube. So welcome to our HubSpot webinar. Yes, so you already heard about HubSpot and how much I love it and so on. So now I hope I'm gonna put all the love for it into you guys, so you're also loving it and your people. So, but I mean, both of you know me, but in general from my side, I'm Steffi, I'm the MCVP Business Development, and my fun fact is that whenever I walk like somewhere, I simultaneously research companies. So for example, whenever we drive, when I see a company name where I'm pretty sure it's not in my list yet, I would be like, Andre, send me a message with this company name. Yes, so I have a lot of messages from Andre with a lot of company names. Yes, and that's how I do research. Yes, but cool. But let's actually talk about HubSpot. So what are we going to talk about today is we're going to talk about what is HubSpot, why is it important and why do we actually need it, how does it work, and how can you actually get an account. And then we're going to have in between as well always questions and answers, and also at the end. And then we're ending with keep in mind. So yeah, do you have any questions so far to that point or inputs?
I mean, from my side, so far so good.
Cool. Then let's get right into it. So first of all, what is HubSpot? HubSpot is a CRM tool, and CRM means Customer Relations Management Tool. It's something that is used by multiple corporates. Actually, in general, it's used by every company that is somehow involved with stakeholder management. So in the end, it's a tool that allows us to record the activities that we're having with external stakeholders, such as startups, NGOs, companies, universities. So when we're doing university relations, and it also allows us to even follow the conversations that we had for long-term and more sustainable account transition. So why do we actually need it? HubSpot enables us to understand better, to work with our partners, and to transition accounts for long-term partnerships. We've all seen this, that like often when we manage partners, it's very much based on a personal relationship, for example, and then it's hard to transition accounts. But actually, by making sure that we're transparent and by actually showing the communications we had before, good as negative ones, we're making it way easier for more generations to see what has happened with the partner, and to, through that, with all this background information in the back, able to build long-term partnerships. Cool.
So, sorry, Steffi, are we supposed to see the slide? Are you projecting something?
Are you not seeing the slides?
Yeah, I'm not seeing the slides. Shows that
But you see
you're
that I shared my
presenting.
screen, right? Let me.
Sorry?
But you
Okay.
see that my screen is shared, right?
Yes,
Good.
but
Then
not the slide.
I will just reset it. Maybe that's the reason. Oh my God, thank you for telling me. I worked so much on this PPT. So.
Okay.
Cool. Do you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, I will just quickly flip through the thing. So, yes, welcome to the webinar. I introduced myself. What are we going to talk about? And now we're about what is HubSpot. It's a CRM tool. And why do we need it? So we already started talking about it, that it enables us to build more long-term partnerships because we're able to see conversations cross terms. So it's a centralized tool that we will all be using on national level throughout the entire entity to make sure that we're aligning accounts. And also when accounts, for example, from MC to LC or LC to MC or LCs to LCs, which happens on a regular basis when they transfer, everyone can refer back to the conversations that happen, which will make our partner servicing way better, especially over the long run. But then you probably have thought about this yourself, or you heard this already. It's like, but we're using spreadsheets. Shouldn't that be enough? So I also wanted to show you a comparison of what HubSpot can do and of what spreadsheets can do and what is happening. So in general, with HubSpot, we're having a CRM tool that has been used globally a lot. It's one of the most used CRM tools in the world. So it's very centralized and it's very transparent. Everyone can see communications of every account, which makes it very easy for us to access the information we need to know about our partners. And it also allows us to store data like the phone numbers and so on, because we all know that the tendency is to take these kind of information down rather than put it up on the website. So we need to make sure, if we have the information, to also store it for future generations. And at the same time, the communications are recorded automatically. So by having an integration in your email, which I will show you later on how it works, you don't even need to copy paste emails or something or update every email, because they will be automatically logged and tracked in HubSpot. So also, as mentioned already, it's a very sustainable way of keeping record of partners, because we can always refer back to it. And we can also specifically give access to people. So it's upon us to choose who can see the information and who can't. And one of the really cool things is that you can track if your emails were opened. With the email integration, you're able to see who opened your emails, which is super, super cool. And you can see at what time they opened them, so you as well know when to follow up, for example. You can also set reminders, and you're getting reminded either by notifications or by email or at the dashboard in HubSpot. So it's super cool that you can always, when you contact someone or when you had a meeting, already set the reminder, follow up, and it's all in one tool. And then you can also, something that I just figured out lately, you can save business cards, you can digitalize business cards and log calls through the app. It's a very cool way, because let's say you have a business card and you want to save the contact on your HubSpot. You take your phone, you scan the business card, and they're digitalizing the information of it, and you save it, and you have your contact saved on HubSpot, which is super cool. And then in the end, what we also need to take into consideration here, HubSpot is a skill, CRM, and the knowledge how to use it. It's a skill that can be added to your CVs and also to your members' CVs, because this is something that they will come across in their professional lives at one point, whether it's marketing, sales, or anything similar, for sure. So it's a really added plus, because you're not learning these kind of things at university. And when we talk about spreadsheets, we have that you lose them easily. Then they're having similar names, so you cannot find it, or someone doesn't have access who should have access. They're getting lost in transition. They're not really made for the long run, because we're always starting to add new spreadsheets, then we're branding them, then we're like, we want to improve it, and so on. We're deleting data. Maybe data gets somehow put into the wrong startups, and also you cannot record emails and conversations, but it starts getting confusing. Like, I remember this when I put in my Google Drive and I search for tracker, then I will find 100,000 things, but probably not the thing that I need in order to see what happened to partners previously. So it's a very sustainable tool, and HubSpot is here the more sustainable choice. Cool. Do we have any questions or inputs to this at this point? If not, then we'll continue. So we're now already at the part of like, how does it work? So how does HubSpot actually work? So now is the part where we're actually gonna dive into it. And let me know if you can see my screen still. Is it working?
Yes, it does.
Cool. Because
Yes.
you cannot see my HubSpot screen yet, right? or can you?
We can see your screen, yeah.
Cool. Okay, so for HubSpot, the first thing you need to know is you can have your own dashboard. So when you open HubSpot, you click on the logo link, which is on the left in the top, and then you can customize your own dashboard. So HubSpot is made for marketing and sales purposes, but we're using it for sales. So you can always switch between two dashboards, and then which is sales and marketing, but we only need the sales one. And then actually you can, with the filter dashboard, you can filter from the date range that you want to see your dashboard, your performance, and you can also filter the team. How does it work with teams? Since we're having the free version of HubSpot, we're having a limited amount of teams that we can have. So we have 4 teams, and the 4 teams are LC B2E, so LC IGV, LC B2B, so IGE and IGT, and then we have MCBD and MCPR. So this is the team, so you can filter this as well, and you can super easily build your own dashboard with the information that you want to have there. So it's really like I can move those things, and it's a puzzle, and there's a lot of things from meeting output, sales performance. Then, for example, here, like you can see in peaks what went better. You can see your tasks and when they're due. So it's really, really handy to have that. And you don't need to take those notes in your notebook, because once you make HubSpot your number one sales tool, you can have everything in there, and it will be way easier and way faster for you as well. Yes, but now maybe the thing that is super interesting for us and you need to know is like, how can I actually interact with the company on HubSpot? How can I log company and save a new one? So here we're having a list of companies, generally, of all the companies that are in HubSpot, and it goes endless. So, but let's say we want to create a company. And there's 2 ways that can happen when you start creating a company. So for example, let's say I copy the domain, and the domain is www.wonderland.com. And now it's loading, and it tells me, oh gosh, that looks familiar. Did you mean? So it basically tells me, hey, there's already an account for this company. And we can switch there and see if that really is the company that we wanted to log and get more information. So here we have Ultimate Wonderland Group AG, and we can see all the information that we saved. So from phone number to email address, domain, and so on. And also, super important, who is the account manager of it? So under whose split does it fall? And then, as you can see already here, your emails are all locked here. You can as well have notes. So for example, what I used to do is contacted Mr. Wonderland on LinkedIn. So I know that I've had LinkedIn contact, because unfortunately there's no integration for LinkedIn. And then I can see the emails. I can log calls here, very easy log call, or as well, for me, I enabled make a phone call. So then it automatically calls the number that you put in there. And you can add tasks. For example, follow up. And you can set the due date, let's say tomorrow 8 a.m. And it's assigned to me. So also team leaders can assign tasks to their members. So for example, I can choose here any random person to assign the task to. And then I can save the task and it will show up here. And once I did it, I mark it as done. Yes, but let's go to the case where you really need to log a new company. So again, you go to create company, and let's say we're creating Candyland AG, and the domain is www.candyland.com. And it actually, sometimes it does suggest you random company names and phone numbers because the domain is somehow registered or known. And then always be careful to put in the imprint name of the company. So to make sure you have the GmbH, or a lot of the times you have companies that are actually having a different name than they're displaying. So make sure that you're putting the actual name in there so we're not going to end up with a lot of confusions. And now the company is called Candy Land GmbH. Then you can also choose the owner. So usually it's always the default setting is yourself. But if you want to change that, you can also change that. And then we can enter the phone number, which is something random. And the email address, candyland at, let's do office, office at isaac.at. And then the LC, this is, let's say we're assigning this to MC. We're giving a random address and a postal code and a city. And then lead status in this case would be new. And the industry you don't need to put in necessarily. It's of course cool to do so, but you don't have to. And often it actually finds the industry themselves. So let's say in this case, the industry is FMC. It's called food. Never mind. Food and beverages. And now we're creating the company, and it automatically directs us there as well. So now let's say we want to contact the company. And so, oh my God, it has a funny logo. And now we want to contact the company, and we're opening our email. And when you have an HubSpot integration, which you can download, I will show you afterwards in settings, it looks like this on your screen. You are having an added line in your email. So here you have the added line, and you have log and track. So let's say I want to write an email now, and the email is hello, let's talk, and it's hello, nice to meet you, let's go for coffee. And then you're like, I want to schedule a meeting. So in more, you can go to meetings, and you can manage your meeting links. So I already have my link, but if you go to manage links, you can hear each and every person can have one meeting link that they can change. So if I open the link now, this is how it looks. So I can decide on the meeting slots, like for example, 30 minutes. I can change here the time zone as I need it. And I can say, okay, on these days, this is my time availabilities. Yes. And then when I go back to my email, I am copying that link in there. I can as well change how it's called. So schedule here. And then I'm sending the email. And now, this might take a bit though. It might not go as fast. And then usually this email would show up here. However, what can happen is that the email address wasn't linked to the company yet. So in this case, what we're doing is we're putting, it even shows here as lately used. We're going here to office.isaac.it. And we see, the email is landed here. It was locked already, but it's not in the company. So here is a button called associated with an amount of records. So what I can do super easily here is that I'm actually putting in the name of the company, which was Candyland. I type it in. And when I go back to, you only need to do this once if it doesn't work at the first try. And then all your emails will show up here automatically. You can always refer back to them. You have the email address that you send it to and also the person you send it from, which is also super good because you can follow up on the people and be like, hey, can you tell me more? And also all your notes that you put in there, they're locked. So it's super, super useful. Yes. So after that, let's say I will show you how to do the integration. So you go on your settings wheel there, and you go on something called integration, and then there's the email integration. So here you can manage your inbox, you can install the extension. I did that already, so I cannot do that right now, but it's super, super easy and it will be really, really useful for you. You see when your people open the emails, you can log and tag things, but one little thing that keeps to happen is make sure when you're sending emails to non-startups, companies, or whomever it is you're talking to externally, to click off the log. You can still track it because sometimes it's useful to see if people opened it, but tick off the log to make sure that you're not actually recording when you're talking to maybe your EB members or something, because otherwise you will have a lot of random emails showing up on HubSpot. But it's something you get used to really fast. Cool. So, yes, now that we have that covered, you might ask yourself, but what about if I want to add more than one company? And if I want to add 10 companies, do I have to add every single one just like that? And it will take ages and it's complicated. Well, there's a solution. And the solution is really easy. When we go to companies, there's a nice button called import. So when we click on the import button, it tells us different options, and it even has a video of how to prepare your spreadsheet so you can add multiple companies at once. In general, how it works is you go to one random company and you make a spreadsheet, and the first line will be the exact order of the properties in HubSpot. So for example, if we go back to Candyland, yay, Candyland. You make a spreadsheet and the names of the columns are name, phone number, email address, company domain, and then LC, and street address, postal code, and city. More you cannot add, and it's also not necessarily. And then I believe below that you have one line per company. You fill it in and you delete everything, like every empty cell needs to be deleted that is not in the frame of this spreadsheet. And also make sure that it only has one tab, because it's not allowed to have more than one tab. It will not be able to read it. What you do then is you just download the Excel file and you upload it on HubSpot, and it will tell you how, if there was an error that occurred, it will show you where the error was, and it shows you automatically how many companies were added. So it's actually really, really easy. and it can make your life a lot easier. It also shows you in case some of the companies were already locked and HubSpot recognized that. It also shows you, we can see it here in 1 second. Here, for example, I've uploaded one of the lists lately, and it shows you it added 77 new records that haven't been recognized in HubSpot before. It updated 10 with information that was not there yet, and it had an error count of 3. So I can actually as well click on the file and download the file in more to see which companies were them, and then I either upload them again, or if it's just 3, it makes sense to just log them by hand. Yes, so this is a really, really handy thing. But one thing to keep in mind is that what happened to me is when you log those lists, sometimes they're not logging automatically the LC. So make sure to just cross-check a bit if all the LCs are assigned, because if they're not, then this again is an issue that we're not knowing whose startup this is, or whose company and whose account in general. Cool. And then maybe you're like, I want to see all my accounts at once, and I want to see what is there. So then again, you go to companies. Yes. And here you have a lovely function that's called filter. So in this, you can filter, for example, by LC, which is super cool. So here you already have is any off, and now I can take any LC. So in this case, if I, for example, take MC again, I will have the list of companies that is currently locked and assigned as to MC. And I can do this with every single one else. I can add more filters, and I can have, there's a lot of different things. If you want to see what is there that is locked in Vienna or in Linz or in Graz, you can as well see when was the last activities or last contacted. So it's really, really easy to make a lot of your filters. And because for you, most relevant will be the filter with LC, it's really, really crucial to make sure that all your accounts have your LC locked. And it's locked correctly, because that makes you, that enables you to see that. So for example, here, this is all imports, and we can see here, it didn't log it because there was probably a bug or an error. So we can see here, it didn't log the LCs. So I will go on it after, and I will add the owner of the property, which then it will be way, way easier. Cool. Yes. Do we have questions right now? Is it clear?
I have a question. Um, how do you assign startup to the LCs in the software? It's your responsibility, right?
No.
No.
Actually, like, so there's different hierarchy systems in HubSpot. So in general, there's like admin, which is someone who can do more or less everything, like adding people, as well as adding, like, editing and deleting properties, uploading new companies, and so on. And then there is super admin. Super admin is me. I can do everything from deleting people from HubSpot to closing the whole account. I can do everything, and so can Caro. But in general, all of you, like, I enable for everyone who gets an account that they can edit property settings, because if you cannot do that, then it's a pain in the ass for you. So this is something I enable for everyone. And I don't know why it's loading a bit slow, but it's okay. It's Friday evening. It tells me that the weekend is near. So if you wanna, it's really, really easy to actually change about the company, because you literally just go in the cell and then click save. So let it load. Can you give me my charger? It's in my black bag. Thank you. So yeah, now we're in. It's still loading. You can just type in the cell. Yes, now it works. So you can just type in the cell and you can change anything. And the same goes for here for Elsie. You have a drop-down menu. So you can change whatever, and you can even assign more LCs to one account. So let's say you're having a cross-selling account, or you're having an account that is managed by two parties. Super easy example would be that in the future, if there is a GT raised by MC, and once there's more LCs running at GT, it's downscaled for delivery to LCs. Then this account would be managed by more than one entity. So you can also add two here, and you can as well delete them. Yes, and then this, it saves automatically. And if you want to save, if you want to change something at the domain, so I don't know, then you need to click save. And always make sure to click save, because some people have forgotten this before. And what else you can do? Let's say we realized that there's more Candylands on HubSpot. There's more accounts for this because more people have logged it. Or there is two companies that merged. So what I do in Actions is I click on Merge and I select the Ultimate Wonderland group, and I want to merge it. So I click on Merge, and both companies and all the emails, they're merged. So it just usually takes a bit. No, it's actually already here. So it's all already merged, which is super good, because if you have different information on different accounts, which can happen in the beginning, you can super easily merge it. Just make sure that the company that you're on is the information you want to keep on the about this company section, because otherwise it's gonna delete it. But yeah, other than that, it's, I would say, pretty handy. Yes, what about other questions? Do we have more questions? No, then we can go back to the slides. So after that, how can I get an account? So really simple question, but maybe very valid, because you don't just sign up, because you need a specific account. You need to be invited by the Isaac in Austria account, which you can see kind of as like an ecosystem, like a Slack channel that is just for Isaac in Austria. So how it works is that your team leaders or VPs, depending on who's your team leader, they're sending me your Isaac email addresses that you want. And so I will invite them and create users. So you will get an email invitation. Hey, you've been invited to HubSpot. And it's important that I think within 24 hours, you're actually clicking on that link and making your account. So it's not getting invalid, and then I would need to resend it again. So yes, and that's how you set up your account. So HubSpot is very user-friendly when it comes to these things, and that's it basically. But also there are some things that I want that are already my learnings that I had in the past 2 months, and also before that when I was a VP. So first of all, the thing is, accounts are based on Isaac emails and not private ones. Why? Because in the end, the way we're storing our information, it's super important that first of all, we're not contacting companies with our private emails. That is something that is an absolute no-go. And at the same time, we want to control, like we want to keep this into our Isaac Google Drive accounts. We want to keep it in our Isaac emails, and we want to also keep our whole HubSpot within our Isaac framework, so to say. So it's super important that it needs to be Isaac emails. And yes, and the worst case option can even be if there's problems with generating it, we can see if we can even create an isaac.at email, but it's better to look it's better to make sure that there's an Isaac email for every member that they are then really constantly using as well. Then also, when uploading more companies, I already said that, always cross-check if they have an assigned LC, because if they do, then it will be way easier for you to filter things and to make sure that no one is contacting a company that is assigned to you initially. And make sure that the data is recorded and updated. So we also already talked about it. Make sure that you're updating the phone numbers, that, for example, you're downloading the app and you're integrating all your business cards and your contacts, because yes, things can change very fast. All of a sudden, the phone numbers are not on the website anymore or so, and we have no way to communicate with a startup still, and that would be a pity that we're actually losing the data that we're having. So that is a way of preserving it for the long term. And super important as well, take this time to update the statuses of your partnerships. So once you have your repeat takers, write a short note in HubSpot that says, hey, this is an OP taker for Winter Peak, something like this, and then update it, hey, it was opened, and then 2 out of 3 got approved, or everyone did, and like what was the state, where they reversed, and so on. Because again, this is about transitioning accounts, and it will make it so much easier for not only you as giving transition, but also for your successors, and it goes on and on and on. And try out new things. So really, HubSpot is a tool that is learning by doing. You just need to dive into it. You need to give it a chance. And after the first 20 calls, or after you did the first, lock the first 10 companies or so, you will super easily understand how it works. And you can play around with it. And whenever you maybe find something new that it can do, then also feel free to share it with everyone, because I'm sure that we can together find out more of how we can use it best for us. And the email integration is really the key, because if you don't have it, then it cannot access the conversations you're having with the startups. So it will be harder to lock, and it will be more efforts for you. And like this, it works super, super well. Yes. So there's a reason why so many companies, they choose HubSpot, because it works super well. It's user-friendly, and it's even for free. Yes. So do we have any questions or inputs? Cool. If we're not, like, always keep in mind, whenever you have questions that are coming up when you're using it, which might happen, then you can always text me. You can Slack me in general. So you can also text each other, because I'm very sure that you will all figure out the tool once you start using it super, super fast. And probably everyone will have different realizations. So also use it as a network, because everyone should be using it, right? So we're all in the same boat. And then with this, I would like to say thank you. And are you ready to grow it? I really hope you are. And I'm super excited for the sales peak to start, and for us to keeping better track of our partners and making sure that we're actually doing this very sustainable and that we're in for the long run. Thank you so much, guys. And see you soon.
See you.
Thank you. See ya.